Hello, everybody. Happy holiday season. I have been talking for a little bit about creating a video about the immune system and how to keep the immune system healthier overall. Especially in the time that we're living right now and the year that we've had, the immune system is so important. And speaking specifically to this SARS virus that's going around, the greatest chance that you will express the disease process COVID, and if you don't know the difference between the two, I do have a video you can check back into my page about the difference between SARS, coronavirus, and COVID-19 because they're all three different things. But in regard to this SARS virus, the likelihood that you will experience the disease process, COVID, astronomically goes up as your immune system goes down. So if you do have immunocompromised issues, if you live in a way and have habits that decrease your immune system or suppress it, you are at a greater risk of contracting viral agents in the first place, contracting bacterial infections, all sorts of really interesting things. So my background, as a lot of you know, I've done a lot of schooling in holistic nutrition, and because of that, I kind of wanted to share a few things. So I don't want to make this video too long, but I want to hit on four really cool aspects of the immune system. The first thing that I want to address is sugar consumption. A lot of people gravitate towards sugar when they're stressed or when they're anxious about something, because sugar, as much as people love to talk about getting a sugar high or a sugar rush, sugar is actually a depressant. It is a sedative chemical. So when you feel stressed or anxious or anything like that, the tendency is to gravitate toward sugary foods. Fat as well, because fatty foods actually make us feel very satiated, and they also give us that like food coma feeling where we feel really comaed out, and it's almost like heroin, right? But sugar is also that way. It actually suppresses the system. It actually becomes a depressant in the system. So you feel really sedated and you feel really good after that sugar, especially the higher the sugar consumption is. The more sugar you consume, the higher the level of sedation. Okay, so it's almost like a doctor administering a drug, and the more cc's you give your body, the more sedated you feel, right? Now, here's the problem with that and the American diet in general, which is hyper loaded with sugar pretty much from morning until night. From the coffee we have in the morning, from our Starbucks fancy frappa mochas, whatevers, all the way through the evening time, is that between 50 and 75 grams of sugar has actually been shown to suppress your immune system for up to 5 hours at a time. What is happening is sugar and processed foods that wind up breaking down into sugar in our system create a comatose effect on our white blood cells. And for any of you who don't know, the white blood cells in your system are the natural killer cells, the ones that go around and actually help you fight invading forces that are trying to come into your body, or that have already come into your body and are trying to wreak havoc, okay? The white blood cells in our body are like the Spartan warriors, the Spartan 300, going around trying to wage war on thousands of bad viral and bacterial agents. If you think about the movie 300, and you think about the history of that, where 300 men staved off this attack of thousands of Persians for so long, that is what's happening when your white blood cells are trying to do their job. If you take the swords and shields away from your Spartan warriors, they are not going to be able to ward off the Persian horde. Okay, so when you take in sugar, especially at that range, 50 to 75 grams of sugar or more at a time, you are significantly suppressing your white blood cells' ability to do their job. They go into a sugar coma and they can't do their job effectively, and therefore you have suppressed your immune system by about 10 to 15%, and that level of suppression will remain for about 5 hours. Which means you have to not consume any more sugar for at least 5 hours just for your body to set itself back to neutral. Now imagine when people are eating every 4 to 5 hours in general, or they're snacking on granola bars, or these things, even things that are supposedly healthy but can have a lot of sugar in them. If you're consuming a breakfast full of processed sugars or processed carbohydrates that break down into sugar, and then you're having, your Starbucks mocha frappa, whatever, venti latte that's got tons of sugar in it, and then you're having a snack in the middle of the day that has tons of sugar, and then you're having lunch that has a lot of sugar, and then all the way into dinner, and you're snacking on candy in between or anything like that, you're basically suppressing your immune system all day long. All day long. The more the processed foods you eat, the more sugar, like just refined sugar in general you eat, the more you are just chronically suppressing your immune system. And imagine doing that day after day after day after day. You are operating on a suppressed immune system sheerly by that one thing that you're doing. So we all know that sugar has a lot of detrimental effects in the body. There are a ton of them, but this is immunospecific, okay? We're talking specifically about how it will affect your immune system and affect it in a way that can be chronic. So even if you don't have an immunocompromised system by diagnosis, even if you don't have a medical condition that is suppressing your immune system, you could be suppressing it chronically all day, every day, all year long, just by the way you use your nutrition, the way you nourish yourself, okay? So first and foremost, 50 to 75 grams of sugar is not hard to achieve. 50 grams of sugar is about a 12-ounce bottle of soda or a 12 to 16-ounce bottle of sweetened iced tea. There are such easy ways to accumulate this. Low-fat sweetened yogurt. A serving typically has around like 40 grams of sugar, depending on how many ounces you're consuming. It's just really not difficult to achieve that level. On average, daily, the recommendation is that you stay at 25 grams of sugar or less. And that's typically speaking about added sugars, okay? So fructose, high fructose corn syrup, all these things, sugary drinks, artificial processing that uses a lot of sugar in order to make the food enticing. It's really, 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 really easy to get 50 to 75 grams in one shot, okay? So be mindful of your sugar consumption, be mindful of how many grams are in a serving of something, and try to stay at 20 to 25 grams at any given moment that you're eating. And be mindful of the combinations of foods that you're putting together during that one moment of eating. Because maybe this one food, this one serving of this food has 30 grams of sugar, but you're combining it and you're eating it together with something else that has 20 grams of sugar, right? So be mindful. That is one of the fastest ways to improve your immune system function, is to decrease your sugar consumption. Rule number 1, all right? Stop putting your Spartan warriors into a coma. That is always helpful. So next, I want to talk about a couple of things. So most people know that vitamin C is really, really good for your immune system. I'm just going to use Airborne. You know, these are little tablets. This particular format, it's a tab that you put into your water and it's fizzy, right? And it becomes this fizzy vitamin C drink. Now, not all of the vitamin C that's in here, this has 1,000 milligrams per tablet. Not all of the vitamin C in here is going to be bioavailable, which means your body's not going to absorb and utilize all of that 1,000 milligrams. But 1,000 milligrams is a pretty good dosage for when you're taking it. When it comes to vitamin C, there are a couple of really cool things that you should know. You can take it in an oral tablet that is not an airborne, okay? You can take it, like if you go to Sprouts and you get a thing of vitamin C, there are a million different types of supplements. Just be mindful, research the supplements to see which ones are the most bioavailable. Anything that has enteric coating is usually, it'll say it on the label, enteric coating, is usually going to survive your stomach acid a little bit better until it gets into your intestines, which is where it actually needs to be absorbed. So you can look for things like that. But in general, if we're talking about dosing, there has never in the history of medicine ever been an overdose of vitamin C. All the way up to 50,000 milligrams, there has never been an overdose, okay? So it's really, 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 it would be like almost impossible to overdose on vitamin C. What will happen as you hyperdose, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but if you hyperdose vitamin C and you take these really, really large quantities, what could happen is that you experience a little bit of gut issue. You might experience a little bit of loose stools, like diarrhea, okay? And while that's uncomfortable, and while nobody really loves to experience that, that is your body's way of telling you that you're dosing high enough that your body is excreting the amount that it's not using, okay? So vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. It will filter out of your system. Your kidneys do a really great job of this. Your intestines do as well. You will excrete what you don't use. It takes a lot, and what I mean by that is about 1,000 milligrams every hour. So you'd be taking one of these every hour, or a packet of Emergen-C every hour. Or whatever your tablets are or gel caps are that you have at home, you'd be taking 1,000 milligrams every hour. That's about what it takes to be hyperdosing. And here's why hyperdosing is helpful to your immune system. If you are experiencing an illness or something like what is happening this year is going around, like a SARS virus, and you are trying to prevent contracting it, or you're trying to prevent symptoms. You don't want to have the disease process, right? So it's like, cool, maybe I'll contract it, but I really want my body to be asymptomatic and I want to sail right through this. Hyperdosing vitamin C, what happens to the vitamin C in your body is that it turns into hydrogen peroxide. So if any of you have ever used hydrogen peroxide to clean anything, which by the way, you should not be using it to clean an open wound, okay? Do not ever put hydrogen peroxide on an open wound. But for any of you who have used hydrogen peroxide to clean anything and you know the value that it has for disinfecting, hyperdosing vitamin C is literally disinfecting from the inside out. And I mean, let's not get into a political thing, but I know people were making fun of President Trump and they were overblowing and exaggerating what he said, and they were talking about how, oh, what a stupid thing to say, and you might as, oh, now he's telling people to inject bleach into their system, whatever. No. Teams of scientists, very intelligent, educated people, and there are published medical journals on this, okay? And I will, like I always do, I will put the science in the comments below. So you can click on the links and you can read the published medical journals, okay? They know that hyperdosing vitamin C orally or intravenously, either one. You can inject it. This is an actual therapy that is happening through IV therapy, high dose vitamin C. It turns into hydrogen peroxide in the body, and therefore you are literally disinfecting from the inside out. It is even starting to be used in cancer treatment trials, and they've been seeing really, really, really great positive evidence that just hyperdosing vitamin C can help to kill cancer cells, which is phenomenal. It's like so amazing, right? I really truly am a huge advocate that nature gives us what we need to fight what nature creates. If it's something nature made, nature has some way to cure it for us, okay? So vitamin C is amazing, but you can't just take like a 100 milligram or like a 500 milligram tab a day and call it a day, all right? If you really want to protect your system, and especially if you're feeling ill and you're having, even if you just have a common cold and you want to get through that cold faster, or you're experiencing a flu and you want to sail through it a little bit more quickly, then you want to be hyperdosing, all right? And you cannot overdose. The worst that you'll probably experience is some loose stools, but that is what tells you you're dosing high enough that your body is using everything it can and excreting the rest. All right? So, super helpful. Again, always consult your doctor with everything. Some people are on medications where there are things that can be contraindicated. So just make sure that you're, consulting with your doctor, especially if you have medical conditions or you're on specific medications and you're not sure how supplements will affect them. All right? So disclaimer, we got that out of the way. But we're speaking about medically published, natural knowledge on what we can do to help boost our immune system. So, number 2, vitamin D. Yay! Vitamin D is great for a lot of things. Not only does it help you absorb calcium, okay? You need vitamin D to absorb calcium, just like you need vitamin C to absorb iron. All right, but vitamin D, the majority of Americans are sorely deficient in this vitamin. It is extraordinarily important for your immune system. To give you an example, if you go out into the sun and you have about 70 to 75% skin exposure, so basically you're in a bathing suit, right? Which we all know in Arizona is pretty common. About 15 to 20 minutes of sun exposure in a bathing suit gives you about 20,000 international units of vitamin D. 20,000! Now I want you to see this supplement that I have here is only 1,000 international units per serving. So each one of these little gel caps has 1,000 international units, which technically means you could take 20 of these tablets at a time and your body still is not going to overdose, because naturally when you go out in the sun and you get your skin exposed to the sun, you create about that level, 20,000 IU, every 20 minutes. All right? So again, another vitamin that's extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, to overdose on. Your body is designed to create that vitamin with sun exposure to the skin. Now, we're not talking about sitting in the sun and frying for an hour at a time. We're not talking about cancerous skin exposure, okay? We're talking about 15 to 20 minutes of really good all over sun exposure a day, and you get 20,000 IU. So, vitamin D is extraordinarily important for the immune system. It supports a myriad of functions, and I'm not going to go into all of that. I will again post some links below, so if you really like the science and you want to read exactly what it does for your immune system, you are more than welcome to indulge. But to keep it kind of short and simple, it's another vitamin that you can really not overdose on. Your body is designed to create it naturally. That's how important it is. There are very few vitamins that your body will actually naturally create. Okay, the rest you have to get from external sources. So the fact that your body was designed to create that vitamin just by being exposed to sun exposure tells you it's important, all right? The majority of people in the United States either live in a state where they don't get very good sun exposure, or they live in a state that has horrible weather, so they're covered from head to toe, gloves, scarves, long sleeves, hats, you name it. So even if they did get out into the sun, they don't have any exposure to the skin. Then we have, the fear of skin cancer. So for people who actually know that they're going to be out in the sun for longer than 20 minutes, like people that live in southern climates and they're going to the beach, right? Then we wear a lot of skin protectant in the form of sunscreen. So when you wear sunscreen, you are basically kicking back those rays, those UVA and UVB rays. And for the most part, that's a really good thing. But again, what it does is decrease your body's ability to create that natural vitamin that is so crucially important for supporting your immune system. So if you happen to live in a state where you get relatively decent weather for the majority of the year, I highly recommend getting out in the sun, the morning sun before 12 o'clock, before noon, is typically the best sun for the body as far as creating this vitamin D and actually your circadian rhythm and everything, okay? There's a lot of science on that too. But morning sun, let your skin be exposed to it 15, 20 minutes. And then if you're gonna be out for any longer than that, then put your sunscreen on. Let your body have that skin exposure. Let your body soak in those rays to create that vitamin D naturally, and then put your sunscreen on and go about the rest of your day, okay? But if you're just really paranoid about it, you have skin cancer in your family, you've had it before, and you just don't want to chance it, then you can supplement it. There are a lot of foods that are high in vitamin D. Egg yolks are one of them. Lots of vitamin D, lots of vitamin A in egg yolks, so they're phenomenal. But there are a lot of places you can get it. So you can go online and research a whole bunch of places where you can get some really great vitamin D. And then, of course, you can supplement if you don't think you're getting enough. Two more things. So there is a compound called oregano oil. All right. Anybody who knows me knows that I swear by this because I used to battle with strep throat cyclically year after year after year. And then I was told, I was educated that oregano oil is a natural antibacterial and antifungal. And what that means is that for something like bacterial condition like strep throat, this is actually more effective in a lot of cases than prescription antibiotics. And prescription antibiotics destroy the good bacteria in your gut at a really, really, really high level. When your gut bacteria get destroyed and that garden gets raped, the soil gets raped, your immune system has a hard time doing its job. The majority of your immune system resides in your gut. And those beautiful little microbes that are supposed to be working for us, the good bacteria, they are responsible for creating a lot of the immune system processes. So if you're cycling antibiotics all the time and you're cycling them unnecessarily, like you're taking an antibiotic for a virus, well, antibiotics are for bacteria. They're not going to do anything for a virus. If you have a common cold or you have a flu and you go to the doctor and they give you a Z-Pak, I got news for you. That Z-Pak didn't do anything to the virus. Nothing. All it did was give you the sense of security that you took something that maybe might help. So it's more of a placebo effect. But at the same time that you're getting a mental placebo, you're destroying your gut bacteria, and that's making your immune system worse. So you're probably going to catch more viruses down the line, all right? Or at least have really bad effects of them when you do catch them. So oregano oil is fantastic for preventing and then also treating bacterial infection. Again, talking to your doctor if it's something that you're concerned about. A lot of doctors are not up on naturopathic ways of healing. There are a lot of wonderful doctors who actually were so constrained by the limitations of the medical industry and the standard of care rules and regulations, when they knew that natural alternatives were actually better, more effective and safer and cheaper, that they left the medical field. A lot of them started their own practices in naturopathic wellness. They're actual MDs. They went to school and they have PhDs too. But they stepped away from the medical industry so that they could have more freedom in the way that they treated their patients. Unfortunately, as awesome as doctors can be, the medical industry is very regulated and the standard of care is very rigid. And unfortunately, for people who get into medicine truly to heal people, they will find that there are things that work better than pharmaceuticals, that work more effectively with less side effects and are much cheaper and more readily accessible. And they will not be legally allowed to prescribe or recommend or assign those things, because those things don't fit within the standard of care that has been set by the medical industry. And the only thing that sets that standard of care is whether or not money was put into a study to be able to fund that research. All right? There is a lot of research on a lot of things that are more holistic and naturopathic, more now than maybe there have been in the past. But really, the only way to change a system and to create new standards of care is to put the money into the research. And we all know that not everything gets funded. We know that just by our school system, right? I mean, you got to fund it to help things be better. And it just doesn't happen. So, because there are a lot of physicians who have noticed that they basically have their hands tied and they are bound by the constraints of the standard of care, even when they know there's a better treatment, a lot of them have stepped away from traditional medicine and the medical model here in the United States, and they've created their own practices, which is so admirable and so phenomenal. And I really, really, really honor those physicians, and I honor them following their intuition and their knowledge and their ability to remain open-minded and to understand that there are so many things in this world available to us, and that they are willing to walk away from something to put themselves in a position to more effectively treat people and to really focus on people's wellness. And I think that's just so admirable. So I want to put that out there because I know a lot of you have known physicians like that, and I just want to give them massive kudos. But oregano oil, I take this every day. I take the tincture, so this is a droplet form, okay? It's very spicy, so I want you to imagine the oregano spice that is on pizza or in a pizza sauce, and it's very, very spicy, and that's just the dried spice. This is the actual oil pressed from the leaves. This is so spicy that if you tried to take this and you've never taken it before and you're taking it from a tincture, your eyes are gonna water, your sinuses are going to literally be cleared in like 2 seconds. It's like an atomic bomb of spice. If you're a habanero fan and you love finding the next spiciest thing to challenge your system, this would be the one, all right? But if you're not that adventurous or crazy, whichever one you wanna call it, then you can take gel caps. They definitely have it available in gel caps. Sprouts, Whole Foods, there are a lot of places where you can find holistic things. And the gel caps are wonderful because you can take it and you don't have to worry about that sinus blowing spiciness that could kind of make you want to steer away from it. But this one is phenomenal. You know, the milligrams in it, the active compound is Carvacrol, Carvacrol. You want to find something that's at least 70% or more. So when you look at the label, it should tell you how much of that active ingredient is present. And the amount that you utilize really is kind of dependent on what you're using it for. When I use it as a prophylactic, which means a preventative, I'm usually doing about 12 drops every morning from this tincture. And that gives me about 300 or 330 milligrams of the active ingredient. So anywhere between like 100 milligrams. You don't even have to have that much. Some people keep it as low as 30 milligrams, but everybody's system is different, so it's hard to give a specific prescription on that, or like advice of prescription, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's sensitive to things in a different way. So again, you'd want to, contact a naturopath or a registered dietitian or somebody who is familiar with this compound, to then go over what medicines you're already taking, what conditions you have, how sensitive your system is, all of those things, and then they could help most appropriately guide you. So there's that. It, as an antibacterial, it can kill some of the good bacteria in your gut, but it is not going to destroy as much of that good bacteria as like a prescription antibiotic would. And you're probably going to have less side effects with this one than you would a prescription antibiotic. So the last one that I want to talk about is olive leaf extract. Olive leaf. It is called OLE for short, olive leaf extract. And it is so phenomenal. This is actually an antiviral. Antiviral, okay? This will actually help you to destroy viral components. So what it's been shown to do is to disintegrate the membrane around the virus. So the virus has a membrane, right? It's like a protective coating, just like our brain has a blood-brain barrier, and our gut and our mucosa helps to protect us. It's our barrier. Viral cells, according to the science, have this barrier as well. And olive leaf extract helps to destroy that membrane so that your body can actually kill the virus, which is like awesome. So I use this as a prophylactic as well, which again means a preventative. I've been using it for 15 years and I have not had a viral infection in that time. Pretty amazing. I have been using oregano oil as well for that amount of time. And of course I do things like, monitor my sugar intake, because I don't want to be suppressing my immune system. I want to boost my immune system. So I really try to be mindful of my sugar, because it really has that much of a detrimental effect on the immune system. And I'm mindful of my vitamin C, mostly because I'm anemic and I need the vitamin C to absorb iron. I need to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to help my body absorb iron properly. So that's sort of like a 2-for-1 for me and for anybody else with anemia, is that you can help yourself with your anemia just by increasing your vitamin C intake. But olive leaf extract is wonderful. It is kind of bitter. Again, this is a tincture, okay? And I do take it in tincture form, but they also have it available in gel caps. So if you're sensitive to bitterness, spiciness, any of the let's be real, herbs are kind of nasty. When you break it down to the raw oil, like none of them really taste good, right? So if you want to steer clear of that, and that is something that has always deterred you from natural components, then I would definitely recommend the gel caps, because they're super easy to obtain. Sprouts, Whole Foods, all these places, they have them in their supplement aisle. But it's a wonderful compound. I've never heard of any person ever overdosing on olive leaf extract. This one says that for every 30 drops, which is basically like half of a dropper, it's got 500 milligrams weight equivalence, and so it's got a pretty strong ratio of the herb in there. Again, you can talk to your naturopath. If you have trouble finding a naturopath that you trust, you can always call colleges like Southwest Institute for Healing Arts or you can call Southwest College of Natural Medicine, Naturopathic Medicine. They are both in Tempe. The College of Naturopathic Medicine is quite large, and I would have no doubt in my mind that they can recommend to you some long-standing and trustworthy naturopaths in the Arizona, Phoenix metropolitan area. So those are things that I've used for over a decade. My immune system is rocking. I've never even dated anybody who's ever had to take care of me when I was sick, because I never get sick. So it's a wonderful thing to take care of the part of your body that is designed to keep you healthy. The best thing you can do is be the support system for your immune system that it needs you to be. You are your strongest advocate for your own health. You are your strongest advocate for the systems in your body to work properly. They need you to protect them the way that you protect a 3-year-old child, okay? They do their job and they keep you as healthy as possible. And it's a very thankless job, and we abuse our body so much that if we really look at it like going to work every day and having an abusive boss, and doing as much work and working as hard as we can, and exhausting ourselves doing everything we can to make that boss happy, and yet the boss still is abusive to us, it wouldn't be very long before we probably quit that job. And your organs and your systems are the same way. They're only going to take so much abuse before they decide to quit. And when they quit, that's when we have health problems. That's when we get dis-ease within the body. So do what you can to be loving and supporting to your system. The more you understand how it works, the easier it is to support it. The more you can look at sugar for the dangerous drug that it is. I know that it tastes fantastic, and I know that it is a drug. So when we want our hit of cocaine or we want our shot of heroin, we go to things like processed foods and sugar. And I understand that, but also understand what it's doing to your immune system. And the more you suppress your immune system, the worse your symptoms of illness are going to be when you do contract something like a virus. There's a reason that some people contract a virus and are completely asymptomatic and sail right through it and never even knew they had it. And then there's a reason why some people have a massive autoimmune response and can wind up dying. Just be mindful, love your body, understand the brilliance it has to offer, the complexity and the fascinating ways in which it works to be able to keep you healthy, and do what you can to support it as much of the time as you can. If you are going to do something like eating, a large amount of sugar at one time, make sure that you're giving your body a 5 to 6 hour break after that, where you're just not eating anything at all. Just don't eat anything at all. Let your body process through that. Let your immune system come back online. You already know now that it will have suppressed it for about 5 hours. So give it that 5 hours to get back online before even eating anything else. And then when you do, be mindful of what it is you're eating so you're not just setting yourself back to a suppressed state. Okay? Stress also decreases the immune system. So the more we can work on things like meditation and physical outlets for our stress, like community kickball leagues or yoga classes or weightlifting or hiking or whatever your physical release of stress is, the more we benefit our immune system. I mean, sex itself has been shown to be, as long as it's like healthy and not toxic emotionally to people, if it's like a healthy, loving thing, affection is fantastically amazing for the immune system. It really helps to decrease stress. It helps to boost the immune system. So yeah, be mindful of your stress levels and find those things that work for you. There's no one magic thing. It's what works for you to decrease your stress. Maybe you like to paint a picture for an hour. Maybe you just want to sit in silence and drink a glass of, herbal tea or something outside on your patio, and you just want to listen to birds for an hour, whatever it is. Find a way to incorporate those into your day. Take your Epsom salt long hot baths, all that stuff. and show love and affection to each other. It's one of the biggest natural immune system boosters there is to have connection with people, emotional connection, love, affection, hugging people, kissing people, holding hands. All of these things are so crucial to the immune system that I really, really hope that you work to incorporate a little bit more of those into your day on any given day. Appropriately, of course. Please be mindful of appropriate situations, right? But when and where you can, I hope that you're capable of adding more of that to your life, because it will do wonders for your immune system. And I will incorporate the science behind that below as well. So it's not just woo-woo, like, fairy tale things that people are believing in. It's real science. And I wish you health, and I wish you immune health and happiness, especially during the times in which we're living. And I hope that you tune into the next video, because I will be doing more on the health and wellness of the body. So peace and love to you. Have a beautiful day. Bye.